I saw her the other day. She said she was going to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karen sent me a note that everyone would be here tonight, but then Nancy had to back up because she's sick. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting Connie here shortly.
Yeah.
And we're about to go live on
Okay.
YouTube, just so you know. All right, we are live on YouTube, just so everybody knows.
Oh,
And there's
All right.
Then there's Connie. Look at that. Just your sidekick is sick, Connie.
I know. She had an appointment today. She has a cough.
Mm.
Oh, bummer.
So it's better
Is
for
it-
her to go get looked at than ignore it.
Yeah.
So how are you doing, Mr. Paul?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Yeah.
You're starting to look like a Alaskan.
Ah, great. I'm supposed to be. My little granddaughters think I'm telling them I'm going to be Santa Claus with a white beard and everything.
Well, you need to get a cherry nose.
Yeah.
How are you, Mr. Daniels?
Awesome, Connie.
And Mr. Guerrero and Mr. Pearson
Yeah, doing good.
Yep, good.
and Karen and Tiffany?
Yeah.
We
we are
don't see,
good. Thank you.
we're not seeing your beautiful faces.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet, not
You know, if we all have to look COVID, then you do too.
fair enough.
She will.
There we go.
Mm.
I mean, we're here the way we are.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be interesting when people eventually go back to offices like before, if we're all going to be wearing the same clothes we did before COVID. I have a feeling not.
Well, I actually kind of dress up for these meetings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Maybe people are going to be bored of their sweats and they're going to want to put something else on.
Of course, my
Okay.
hair needs really a lot of attention, and I found out my hairdresser, I think she doubled her prices, but I do need to go and get my hair cut.
well, you could maybe invite yourself to go with Alyssa and Ryan. They're having a family outing to the hairdresser.
Oh, are you?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're feeling like me. I need something done here.
Yeah.
Of course, Paul's gonna stay Alaskan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could get a ponytail. How that'd look.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, your hair's too curly.
Yeah.
So Ryan, where are you going to get your hair done?
Just wherever Alyssa goes. One of her friends, I don't even know, it's one of her friends works out of her house, so we go there.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Well, I found out that Jean Juarez is really open again, so, but they've increased their prices. So we'll go
Well,
check it out.
they shut down their one main store down in Seattle.
Well, that's
see that?
okay. It was probably in the chop zone, right?
Well, it was one of those, yeah. And they just said, "Hey, we're out of here. We're tired of people defecating on our sidewalk and all that other stuff." So
Well, I go to Tacoma Mall. Hi, Mr. Boki.
Hello,
Yeah,
good
Paul.
evening.
Yeah. Good evening.
So, Paul,
Hmm.
please extend my thanks to your wife for contacting me after the last meeting. I haven't responded back to her, but I'm in the zone with Cherish and all that kind of stuff. So tell her we're doing fine.
Okay, I do I remember what it was about?
I don't care. If you just tell her that I told you that, she'll know. You might
You're
not.
doing fine. Okay, yes, that was about school. Okay, yes.
Thank you. So now I have a hotline to the IT guy.
Good.
Oh, good.
So, Paul, did all the streets get paved over there in Oak Brook yet?
Well, I didn't go out today. I work from home today, but hopefully they're getting close. They had a good day to do it, as long as it's over 50 degrees, I guess, and not raining.
Yeah. So the
So
last
they-
2 days, they were supposed to do Monday and Tuesday, right? Weren't they?
I think so. Someone posted on social media that they were doing a lot. So, And they already have the base layer down. So, and they've got about 90% or more of the concrete, at least at this end,
Yeah.
the west end over here. I mean, the other day I walked on it and it was pretty much, I mean, they're doing the what takes time now is the corners, because they got to be those ADA compliant things. They have to have
Yeah.
those.
Little bumps in
And
them.
so they have to do those individually. You know, they just don't, where it used to be, they just do curb all the way and gutter and they were done. Now they have to get that at the right angle, and then they put that other stuff down. And so it just takes time. It's piecework.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get started in our meeting tonight. And then after roll call, if you guys could put yourself on mute so
Okay,
we don't hear any background noise. So at this time, I'll call the meeting to order. This, whatever day this is, already the 21st of October, 2020. If staff could call roll, please. Nope, Karen, you're muted.
Are you there, Ms. Devereaux? I'll call the roll. Mr. Pearson,
Here.
Mr. Daniels,
Here.
Mr. Wagaman,
Present.
Mr. Guerrero,
Here.
Ms. Coleman Lackady,
present.
and Ms. Eccles, sorry, is excused. And then we also have Mr. Volke here as the council liaison.
Great, thank you. Tonight before us, we have the minutes of September 16th, 2020. Looking for a motion.
I so move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Ms. Connie Coleman Lackady first. Do I have a second by Mr. Wagaman? Any discussion or changes or notes of interest? Seeing or hearing none at this time. All those in favor by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Seeing or hearing none, the motion passes of the approval of the minutes of September 16th. Any changes to our agenda tonight, Ms. Tiffany?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open public comment at this time. And do we have any individuals that submitted or any questions have raised on the public comment period?
I did not receive anything, Mr. Chair. I'll ask one more time for Ms. Devereaux if she might have received anything.
Okay. I see she's still muted.
Yeah, she may be having technical difficulties. So if she would have gotten something by noon of
Yeah.
today, she would have sent it to you, and I don't think she did.
Yeah, I didn't get an email, so no problem. Okay, well, good. We'll close the public comment at this time. We have none of the unfinished business, and also there's no public hearing tonight. So we'll go right to number 8 on the new business, and it's action on the proposed 2021 comprehensive plan zoning map amendments recommendation. Ms. Spear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to share my screen to take us through this. So as you're well aware, you've already had several discussions about the 2021 comprehensive plan amendment cycle docket list. And so where we are tonight is, having had a study session and then a public hearing on this, you're now tonight scheduled to take action if you're ready to do so. Right now, the docket list includes 7 city-initiated amendments. First is the replacement of the current sustainability chapter within the comprehensive plan with a new energy and climate change chapter. Secondly is an update in the comprehensive plan reflecting the rezone of a lot of Springbrook parcels in the 2020 docket to industrial business park. Third is just edits to reflect the adoption in this year of the city parks legacy plan. Fourth is various updates talking about and encouraging various housing types other than strictly single family detached. And this is all reflective of state statute changes in particular. Fifth is updates to reflect what's going on with Western State Hospital as well as public and semi-public institutional uses within the city. Sixth is reflecting within the comprehensive plan the fact that the downtown sub-area plan has been adopted and implemented, and that Lakewood Station District sub-area plan will be complete by next spring, probably before action is taken on this docket. And then seventh, if you remember, we had the discussion about the creation of a new center of local importance on the east side of the city focused on industrial uses. And the purpose of doing that would be to eventually have it designated as a regional center, which then in turn allows for a lot of economic development opportunities and grant opportunities to the city. So the public comment period ended on August 28th, and there were no privately initiated submittals as of that point. To date, there have been no additional items from the council or the commission. But last time when we met, which was September 16th, after the public comments were received, one was submitted by Mr. Tim Lynch of Tim Lynch Homes, and that he did request in writing that there be a new amendment considered regarding rezoning some parcels within the Tillicum area following on the Thorn Lane and Berkeley interchanges due as part of the I-5 expansion and interchange replacements that are ongoing right now. He was asking that 3 parcels in specific be rezoned to neighborhood commercial. So what I'm going to do now, because the Planning Commission asked that staff come back with a recommendation on Mr. Lynch's request, I'm going to walk through a couple of slides that does that. His words are there in quotation marks. It's currently a residentially zoned area, but with the new gateway getting completed, a better use for this block would be to extend the NC2 zoning located already on the other side of the off-ramp. So here's a couple of maps just showing you and orienting you to where we're talking about. It's the 3 parcels here within this circle, excuse me, and you'll see Berkeley Street right here, Freedom Bridge or Freedom Way is right there below it. This is a smaller picture just to show you where I-5 is and the edge of the city itself is. This is an aerial to show you what's on the property right now. It is mostly undeveloped on these 2 properties, and then there are some buildings on the 3rd piece. But again, you see how close this is to I-5, and it is right where the Berkeley interchange has been being constructed. So speaking of the interchange, this is just a brief synopsis of what's happening along I-5 as part of this large WashDOT project. This would be the lower part of Lakewood getting into Tillicum, and then there's Berkeley Street. So we're talking about right there that this application would affect. And then the construction continues further south. But as you can see, at least originally, I'm not sure if they're exactly on time now with this time frame that's on the website, but originally Thorn Lane interchange was scheduled to open about a week ago. And then the raising the I-5 by 14 feet at Berkeley Street is supposed to be happening, as we speak. A little closer up version of what's happening on the map. And then just to let you know what's happening with these improvements, you have auxiliary lanes. There's going to be some changes on both sides of the highway and the interchange for sure on the side of the city of Lakewood. The timeline, the Berkeley Street interchange should be opening relatively shortly. Thorn Lane was supposed to already open whenever it did. And then by next summer, everything is finished. So by this fall or late fall, we're going to have the traffic in the final configuration, and then they'll do finishing touches next summer. So if you remember, this is actually an application that's come in a couple of times already. And last year when this was talked about, the Planning Commission and then the council said, let's wait until the construction on the interchanges is well on their way or complete before we consider this. And so that's partly why I was just walking you through that timeline of where the construction sits. This is information here on this slide that's currently in the comprehensive plan about Tillicum. It is currently considered a center of local importance within the city. It is described at some length within the comprehensive plan, which is what some of this text is. And then there's also additional language and policies regarding the Tillicum, and then there's reference to the Tillicum's neighborhood plan. So some of that language out of the comprehensive plan talks about providing for commercial and service uses for the daily needs of residents within the neighborhood, including Tillicum neighborhood, supporting expansion of recreation and open space, and then providing pedestrian and bicycle paths. Another goal is specific to the residents of Tillicum, enhancing physical environment, promoting integration of Tillicum with the American Lake shoreline, improving public access to American Lake, providing an alternate connection between Tillicum and the northern part of the city aside from I-5, and then implement and update as necessary the Tillicum community plan, which is now the neighborhood plan, as I just mentioned. So here's the maps in the city's comp plan right now that shows the Tillicum Center of Local Importance. And so it includes the parcels that we're talking about in this application. This is language right out of the neighborhood plan that was adopted in 2011 and is still considered a current plan for the Tillicum neighborhood. There's conversation about it now. This is almost a 10-year-old plan, but there was discussion about sewer coming to the area and how that allows for commercial business expansion. And then there's also this emerging market demand recognition. Obviously, within 10 years, things have changed, but that was anticipated at the time. And then in the 2011 neighborhood plan, there's also this conclusion that there's a basis intended here out of the plan to allow for future zoning regulation decisions, etc. Going back even further, this is an excerpt out of the 2011 plan that shows you thoughts about what was going on in 1980, which is way before the city incorporated. It's before the Growth Management Act, but there was development here, obviously. And at that point, there was a discussion about having multifamily along here and then commercial around the corner. And that's pretty similar to what you see right now. This is the current land use designations for the area. And again, this pink is neighborhood business district, and then the yellow is residential. The current zoning, this is neighborhood commercial too. So this is what Mr. Lynch was referring to in his letter. And then right here where we're talking about the parcels, it's right now residential 3. The difference in the residential capacity, as you see up here, is R3 is almost 5 units per acre, and NC2 or neighborhood commercial 2 is significantly more at 35 units per acre. So what is the staff recommending to the Planning Commission? We are suggesting and recommending that you do include this as an amendment to be considered, and that it be more than just the 3 parcels that Mr. Lynch was referring to, but actually that we take a look at this whole area in this section of Tillicum to see if it makes sense to rezone not only the 3 that Mr. Lynch referred to, but additional parcels as well, to make sure there's logical transition between the types of zones and their densities and their allowed uses. So if the Planning Commission is ready to do it, this is just a proposed motion that would approve including all of the 7 comprehensive plan amendments that you've already talked about, but also to add an 8th, which is referring to the area around the Berkeley, interchange, and looking at whether more than just those 3 parcels need to be rezoned when the time comes next year. Where we sit time-wise is tonight you would be taking action, and then the City Council will take up action on the docket list itself in November. And then next spring, you would start to take a look at these in more substance and make your final recommendation to council in order for them to take action next summer. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair, if you have any other questions for me or for discussion among the members.
Great, thank you so much. Any questions before we take, yes, Mr. Wagaman?
Yeah, so if we do the NC2, does that mean there's no residential in there at all?
No,
Would that allow us to do a commercial and residential above it?
Yes. And if you look at the packet, it has actually a table that compares the allowed uses for R3 versus neighborhood commercial. And obviously, there's more types of things allowed within neighborhood commercial, but residential is still an allowed use as mixed-use development is anticipated.
And now, I guess the only other question I have is, if they start doing that, is there going to be enough parking down there? That area seems to be pretty busy, but with the base right across the street, sometimes people like to come out off the base and use restaurants and those kind of things. So to me, having some more commercial activity over there makes sense, and hopefully attracting business from that side. But then what about parking? It's always seems tight in there. Do we need to give any thoughts to that?
Well, any application for any type of use is going to have to comply with the current city code and parking requirements. So there will be a required number of parking spaces per type of use, and that's all located in the.
Okay.
Any other questions from fellow commissioners? Seeing none, I have no questions at this time. So if we're ready, will any fellow commissioners want to make a motion on the proposed 1 through 8 proposed 2021 comprehensive plan and zoning map amendments to forward it to the city council? So I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Guerrero, okay, do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I would make a motion that we approve items 1 through 8 and recommend they move forward to the city council.
Great, Mr.
I second.
And Ms. Connie Komolaki, second. Thank you so much. Any discussion or changes to that motion? Seeing or hearing none at this time, will all those in favor by saying aye?
All right.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing, seeing none, the motion passes to forward it to the city council 1 through 8 of the 2021 comprehensive plan and zoning map amendments before us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is already Paul, right to you.
Thank you, Chair Daniels. Just for my report, we're in budget season now, so we've actually had introduction of the budget, and then we had 2 or 3 budget meetings on Wednesdays. Of course, we're Zooming on all of them, just like you. As you could imagine, it's a fairly challenging year, or it's actually a biennial budget, so it's a challenging year from that standpoint because it's very difficult right now to determine revenues. The city is very conservative in budgeting of revenues, so we're doing the best we can. There'll be a number of positions throughout the city that do not get filled for now, and based upon future income. There will be some new positions, actually. There will be another code enforcement officer and another building inspector. In the middle of next year, we're hoping for another mental health professional for the behavioral health contact team. So we'll have 2 of those individuals in place by the middle of 2021. We are there. This I-976 got overturned by the state Supreme Court. That frees up quite a large amount of money that's been just sitting there, and that will probably go for the 2022 paving projects and road maintenance and paving projects. So that's the small paving projects that kind of handle bits and pieces like 50 or 60 foot sections of roadway, and then the chip sealing for 2022. The way the budget was proposed is we had that in there for 2021, but we didn't for 2022 because we didn't know we'd have the money. We're going to do that. We're also going to have a discussion, I believe, next week at the council as to what to do with I-976, whether we continue our transportation benefit district. So that's one of the choices, is we could just say, well, the will of voters is to not pay the $20 to us for the car tabs. and get rid of it. And then the transportation benefit district wouldn't have a source of revenue. We'd have to look for another source of revenue, or just abandon it. And then we would have to make some decisions about whether or not we want to get that money from another source, or continue on with what we're doing, which is using it on an annual basis for various pavement projects. Or there is a consideration to maybe bonding again. We've already bonded once. That's how we're doing Onyx and Veterans Drive. That's bonded mainly by REIT dollars, real estate excise tax. And we're going to look at perhaps doing another bond issue tied to the transportation benefit district, the $20 car tab. So, but that's a discussion we're going to have, I think, as early as next week at the study session. I think next week. So that's where we're at right now. We'll also get the third quarter police report, I think, at this next meeting. So that'll be interesting. There's just interesting things going on in that world because of the lockdowns and various things like that. And a lot of people have been let out of jail. So, certain activities have picked up, other activities have died down. So we'll see how it goes. That's all I've got, Chairman.
Okay, all right, great. Any questions for Paul? Connie?
Yes, Paul, you said you were going to add a code enforcement and a building inspector. What was the other one?
Mental health professional.
Oh, okay.
So if you've ever met Carolyn and Officer Rocco, another Carolyn.
Okay.
Good. Now you understand Mr. Rocco is going to be retiring though in next June or so.
He is going to retire.
So that is much needed. It's a great program that they put on that whole program. I've been fortunate. I'm with was selected to sit in the Lakewood Citizens Police Academy for the last, I think, 9 weeks now. I've been going in a couple Saturdays. So very informative through the police department and all of their duties and things that they have to do. So impressed about the policies, procedures, information. They allow you to ask any questions whatsoever. It was very, very, very informative. I'm glad I did, and I would urge any citizen, they're going to do it once a year, and I urge any citizen in Lakewood to definitely participate if available and they can, because it's puts a whole different perspective of any police department, but naturally Lakewood, and I'm surprised at the professionalism and the amount of years of service that the sergeants, lieutenants, and the upper staff has on that force. And they're not just good in their own field, but they're trained the trainers. So they've went above and beyond the just regular required training. These individuals are the master of the masters, and they train all the other police departments around our area. So it was very, very good. So that's my comment. You can pass that on to the fellow county council, or the county council, the regular Lakewood council members, Mr. Boki.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Boki? So, Ms. Tiffany, any other reports?
Just very briefly, right before this, we had a stakeholder group get together to look at an early copy of the Lakewood Station District Sub-Area Plan and Development Code. And we got some great feedback from them that are now going to be incorporated into the draft that comes forward to you, because actually 2 weeks from tonight, we get to start talking about it here. We're going to have a deep dive into the sub-area plan, the hybrid form-based code, which will be similar for you to what was adopted for downtown. And then also the SEPA planned action that talks about how to mitigate things now, or plan to mitigate things now. So when an individual project comes forward in the future in this area, they won't have to go through SEPA with an individual project. So 2 weeks from tonight, you'll get to hear some of what came out of today's stakeholder meeting group. A couple of other things really fast. On November 2nd, there is a tentative item on the city council agenda to fill the vacant position on the planning commission. I don't know anything other than that. I know that they have received applications and the mayor has those. So I'll let you know if that's definitely going to be on that agenda. I'll send an email to everybody once I know for sure. And then other than that, as I said, November 4th is your next meeting where it'll be the Lakewood Station District. On November 18th, 2 weeks after that, will be the public hearing for that sub-area plan stuff. And then into December, can you believe it? We're already going to be in December, would be the time where you would discuss it and then take action on a recommendation for council. And that's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other reports or information from fellow commissioners? Nothing tonight. No other information. Wow. Great. Okay. Seeing or hearing no other comments or concerns, we will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good week.
All right.